Welcome to Whispered Tales. Today's story is about mastering your thoughts to improve the way you speak English. Ethan Bennett, a 24-year-old from Seattle, had always struggled with English fluency. Despite studying vocabulary and grammar, he often hesitated while speaking and found himself overthinking every sentence. One morning, after freezing during a group conversation at work, Ethan realized the problem wasn't a lack of English knowledge, it was his thoughts. Negative thinking, doubt, and mental clutter were holding him back from speaking clearly. Determined to change, Ethan created a thought mastery plan. His goal was simple: to improve his English by learning to control, structure, and clarify his thoughts before speaking. He started by observing his mind throughout the day, noticing patterns, worrying about mistakes before they happened, overcomplicating sentences in his head, thinking in his native language and then translating to English. Ethan knew that if he could train his mind to think clearly in English, speaking fluently would follow naturally. That evening he wrote in his journal, "Words are a reflection of thoughts. If I master my thinking, I can master my speech. Clear thoughts lead to clear sentences, confidence, and fluency." Ethan felt a spark of hope. For the first time, he realized that improving English wasn't just about grammar or vocabulary, it was about mastering the mind. The next morning, Ethan dove deeper into understanding how thoughts shape speech. He realized that fluent English speakers didn't just memorize words, they organized their thoughts clearly before expressing them. He began observing himself during conversations and noticed several patterns. Hesitation came from unclear thoughts. Overthinking led to long pauses and awkward phrasing. Self-doubt prevented him from trying new words or expressions. Ethan decided to adopt a structured thinking process. Clarify the idea. Before speaking, define the main point in your mind. Break it into steps. Identify 2 to 3 supporting points or examples. Choose words naturally. Let vocabulary flow from thought rather than forcing it. Speak with confidence. Trust that clarity in thought will produce clarity in speech. He practiced by narrating simple daily activities aloud in English. I woke up, drank coffee, and read the news. I went for a walk in the park and listened to music. Initially, it felt strange to consciously structure thoughts, but within a week, he noticed smoother sentences and less hesitation. His speech sounded natural because his mind was prepared first. One evening, Ethan shared his progress with his friend Nina, who was also learning English. "Ethan, your speaking has improved so much. You sound confident and clear." Ethan smiled. "It's not just practice, it's how I organize my thoughts. Clear thinking leads to better English." That night, he wrote in his journal, "Fluent speech starts in the mind. By mastering my thoughts, I can speak clearly, confidently, and effectively. Thinking better is the first step towards speaking better." Ethan realized that speech wasn't just words, it was a reflection of his mental clarity, and improving his thoughts was the secret to lasting fluency. As Ethan continued his journey, he realized that thinking clearly required deliberate practice. It wasn't enough to just notice his mental patterns, he needed exercises to train his mind for fluent English. He started with daily mental rehearsal. Morning reflections. He spent 10 minutes imagining conversations he might have during the day, thinking through responses in English. Scenario visualization. Before meetings, he visualized how he would explain his ideas clearly. Internal narration. While performing routine tasks, he described actions and thoughts aloud in English. At first, it felt awkward to think actively in English instead of translating from his native language, but over time, his mind began forming sentences naturally, reducing hesitation and mistakes.
Ethan also practiced breaking complex ideas into simple points. He realized that fluent speakers often think in chunks of meaning instead of trying to construct perfect sentences word by word. For example, instead of, "I went to the store to buy some fruits and then I cooked dinner," he thought, "store, buy fruits, cook dinner." This simplification allowed him to speak faster and more confidently. One afternoon, his colleague Jake noticed a change.
"Ethan, your explanations are so clear now. It's easy to follow what you're saying." Ethan replied, "Clarity comes from thinking first. If my thoughts are organized, my words follow naturally." That night, Ethan reflected in his journal. Mental clarity is the foundation of fluent speech. By practicing structured thinking and visualization, I strengthen both my mind and my English. Speaking clearly becomes a natural outcome of clear thought. Ethan realized that mastering thoughts was no longer an abstract concept, it was a daily practice that directly improved his communication, confidence, and fluency. As Ethan progressed, he discovered that one of the biggest barriers to fluent English was negative thinking. Doubts, fear of mistakes, and self-criticism often slowed him down and caused unnecessary hesitation. He decided to tackle this by implementing thought control techniques. Awareness, noticing negative or self-doubting thoughts as soon as they arose. Reframing, transforming "I'll never speak fluently" into "every practice makes me better." Positive reinforcement, celebrating small wins to counteract discouragement. One morning, while preparing for a meeting, Ethan felt anxious. "I might say something wrong. People will notice my mistakes." He paused and reminded himself, mistakes are part of learning. Fluency grows through effort, not perfection. By consciously replacing negative thoughts with empowering ones, he noticed a dramatic improvement in both confidence and clarity. Sentences flowed naturally, and he spoke with authority rather than hesitation. Ethan also created a mental mantra to use before speaking. "I think clearly. I speak clearly. I learn from every word." Repeating this silently before any conversation helped him remain calm, focused, and articulate. That evening, he shared his progress with his friend Nina. "You're speaking so confidently now, Ethan. Even when you make mistakes, it doesn't slow you down." Ethan smiled. "Controlling my thoughts has made all the difference. Fluency starts in the mind, not the mouth." He reflected in his journal. Negative thoughts can paralyze speech, but awareness and reframing create freedom. Every time I control my thoughts, I speak with confidence, clarity, and purpose. Ethan realized that mastering thoughts wasn't just about language, it was about mental strength, focus, and resilience, all of which directly improved his ability to communicate in English. By this point, Ethan realized a major breakthrough. Thinking directly in English rather than translating from his native language drastically improved fluency. Translations slowed his speech and caused mistakes. He started training his mind to think in English throughout the day, narrating daily actions. "I am making breakfast. I am brushing my teeth." Internal dialogue. While planning tasks, he spoke thoughts silently in English. Storytelling exercises, recalling his day and describing events in English before journaling. At first, it felt challenging. His mind instinctively wanted to translate from his native language, but with practice, sentences formed naturally in English. This reduced hesitation and made conversations smoother. Ethan noticed a pattern. When he thought in English, his speaking confidence increased. Grammar felt intuitive, and vocabulary retrieval was faster. as if his mind had reprogrammed itself to communicate directly instead of filtering ideas through translation. One evening, during a video call with his friend Liam, he realized the impact. "Wow, Ethan, you sound so natural now. It doesn't even feel like you're thinking about words." Ethan smiled. "That's because I stopped translating. Thinking in English makes speaking automatic, clear, and confident." He wrote in his journal, "Fluency comes from the mind. Directly thinking in English connects thought to speech instantly. Translation slows progress. Clear thinking accelerates it."
By rehearsing thoughts in this structured way, Ethan noticed immediate improvements. His speech became coherent, sentences flowed naturally, and he could express complex ideas without stumbling. He also used mind mapping exercises, writing key ideas visually and connecting them before speaking. This strengthened his mental organization and allowed him to retrieve words quickly during conversations. One day, during a group discussion at work, his colleague Jake commented, "Ethan, your points are clear and easy to follow. You explain things so well." Ethan smiled, realizing that thought organization directly translated to better speech, confidence, and comprehension. That night, he reflected in his journal, "Clarity in thought creates clarity in speech. Organizing ideas before speaking is a skill that improves communication, reduces hesitation, and strengthens fluency." Ethan understood that structured thinking was not just a technique, it was a habit that shaped his mind and his words, making English speaking natural and confident. As Ethan continued, he realized that his inner dialogue could either help or hinder his fluency. Negative self-talk, "I'm not good enough, I'll make mistakes," was slowing him down and creating unnecessary fear before speaking. He decided to actively replace negative thoughts with positive affirmations. "I am improving my English every day. Mistakes help me learn, not fail. I can express my ideas clearly and confidently." Each morning, Ethan spent 5 minutes repeating these affirmations, visualizing himself speaking fluently in various situations, meetings, casual conversations, and presentations. This mental rehearsal gave him a sense of calm and control. During practice conversations with his friend Nina, he noticed a dramatic difference. When negative thoughts appeared, he paused, acknowledged them, and replaced them with positive reinforcement. The fear of making mistakes reduced, and his speech became more fluid and confident. He also used a journal to track progress. Every time he replaced a negative thought with a positive one, he wrote it down. Over weeks, he could see patterns of improvement, and this reinforced a growth-oriented mindset. One afternoon, while explaining a complex idea to a colleague, he caught himself thinking, "I might mess this up." Then he consciously shifted, "I know my points and I will explain them clearly." The outcome was impressive. His explanation was smooth, confident, and well received. That night, he wrote in his journal, "Positive self-talk reshapes the mind. Replacing doubt with encouragement creates confidence, clarity, and fluency. My thoughts determine the quality of my speech." Ethan realized that mastering thoughts wasn't just about thinking in English, it was about thinking positively, clearly, and confidently, directly impacting how he expressed himself in any situation. Ethan discovered that one of the most powerful tools for mastering thoughts was visualization. By imagining himself speaking confidently and clearly, he could train both mind and body for real-life conversations. Each morning, Ethan spent 10 to 15 minutes visualizing scenarios, presenting an idea in a team meeting, engaging in a casual conversation with a friend, sharing his opinion in an English discussion group. During visualization, he imagined every detail: his tone of voice, body language, sentence flow, and even possible questions and responses. The mind became familiar with confident speech before it happened in reality. He paired this with mental rehearsal, silently repeating sentences or stories he wanted to share. This created a sense of preparedness and calm that made actual speaking less intimidating. One day, he was asked to give a spontaneous explanation during work. Normally, he would have hesitated, but this time he approached it with calm. He visualized the situation quickly in his mind, structured his thoughts clearly, and spoke confidently without overthinking each word. His colleague Jake noticed the change. "Ethan, that was so clear and easy to follow. You seem more confident than before." Ethan smiled, realizing that visualization bridged the gap between thought and action, training his mind to produce fluent speech naturally. As Ethan progressed, he realized that most mistakes in speaking came from a distracted mind. Multitasking, worrying about the future, or overanalyzing past errors prevented clear thought and fluent speech. He decided to practice mindful thinking, training his mind to focus fully on the present moment and the topic at hand. Techniques he used included mindful breathing, taking a deep breath before speaking to center his mind; single task thinking, concentrating only on the conversation or task, not unrelated worries; observation exercises, noticing details in his environment and describing them in English silently. By practicing mindfulness, he noticed that he could organize his thoughts faster, recall vocabulary more easily, and express ideas without hesitation. His sentences became coherent, concise, and natural. During a team meeting, Ethan applied this technique. Instead of worrying about grammar mistakes or what colleagues might think, he focused entirely on the content of his speech. The result? Confident, fluid communication that impressed everyone. Later, he shared his experience with Nina. "Being fully present while thinking in English has changed the way I speak. I don't overthink or pause unnecessarily. My mind flows naturally into words." Nina nodded. "That's amazing. You sound so clear and confident now."
That night, Ethan wrote in his journal, "Mindfulness connects thought and speech. When I focus on the present, my words flow effortlessly. Clear thinking comes from a calm, attentive mind, and clear words follow." Ethan realized that mastery of thoughts was inseparable from mindfulness. By training his mind to stay present and attentive, he could ensure fluent, confident, and accurate English in every conversation. Ethan discovered another critical tool for mastering thoughts and improving English: asking the right questions. He realized that curious, structured thinking helps the mind form ideas clearly, which then translates into more precise and confident speech. Whenever he learned a new concept or faced a conversation challenge, Ethan asked himself questions like, "What exactly do I want to say? Which words best express my idea? How can I simplify this for clarity? What examples or comparisons can help others understand?" By answering these questions internally before speaking, he could pre-organize his thoughts, reducing hesitation and confusion. He practiced this method by thinking aloud, journaling answers, and discussing them with friends. One afternoon, during a brainstorming session, Ethan noticed how much smoother his contributions were. He clearly outlined his ideas, supported them with examples, and responded to questions confidently. His colleagues, impressed, asked him for tips. "How do you speak so clearly, Ethan?" Ethan explained, "I ask questions in my mind first, then answer them. It helps me organize ideas before speaking." That night, he reflected in his journal. "Questions sharpen thought. By asking the right ones, I prepare my mind,
structure my speech, and communicate with clarity. Fluency comes from structured thinking as much as vocabulary. Ethan realized that active questioning turned passive thoughts into precise, actionable language, making every conversation an opportunity to speak better English while thinking better. Ethan soon realized that reflection was essential to mastering thoughts and improving English. Without reviewing his experiences, mistakes, and successes, he couldn't refine his thinking or strengthen his speaking skills. Every evening, he dedicated 15 to 20 minutes to reflection, reviewing conversations he had during the day, noting sentences that felt awkward or unclear, identifying moments when negative thoughts affected fluency, considering how he could respond better next time. Through reflection, Ethan learned to catch recurring patterns of thought that slowed his speech, such as overthinking, unnecessary translation, or doubt. By addressing these patterns, he trained his mind to respond more efficiently in real conversations. He also paired reflection with journaling. Writing about daily successes, challenges, and lessons helped him internalize improvements and reinforce positive thinking habits. Over time, the journal became a mirror of his progress, showing how thoughts had become sharper and speech more fluent. One evening, his friend Nina commented, "Ethan, it seems like every day you speak with more confidence and clarity. What changed?"
Reflection makes me aware of my thought patterns and helps me improve daily. Thinking clearly now leads naturally to speaking clearly. That night, he wrote in his journal, "Reflection strengthens thought mastery. By reviewing my day, I recognize errors, reinforce successes, and refine my mind. Clear thoughts produce confident speech, and reflection keeps improvement continuous." Ethan realized that thought mastery was a cycle: practice, reflection, refinement. By reflecting intentionally, he could control his mind, sharpen his English, and communicate with precision and confidence. Ethan understood that mastering thoughts required consistent habit formation. Occasional effort wouldn't create lasting fluency. He needed to train his mind daily to think clearly, positively, and in English. He established a routine: morning mindset session, visualizing the day and setting intentions in English. Throughout the day, narrating actions, asking questions, and thinking in structured English. Evening reflection, journaling, reviewing conversations, and reinforcing positive self-talk. By making these practices habitual, Ethan noticed that thinking in English became automatic. He no longer paused to translate, overthink, or doubt himself. Fluency and confidence were emerging naturally from consistent thought management. One day, while helping a junior colleague with a presentation, Ethan realized how far he had come. His explanations were clear, concise, and easy to follow. He remembered the days when even small conversations caused stress and hesitation. The transformation amazed him. That evening, he reflected in his journal. Thought habits shape speech habits. Daily practice of positive, structured, and mindful thinking creates effortless fluency. The mind and mouth are connected, and mastery comes from consistent mental training. Ethan smiled, knowing that by mastering his thoughts, he had not only improved his English, but also strengthened focus, confidence, and clarity in all areas of life. Thank you for watching Whispered Tales. We hope Ethan's journey inspired you to master your thoughts and improve your English by thinking clearly and positively. Remember, structured thinking, mindfulness, reflection, and daily habits are the keys to speaking better.